Greetings, kindred. I hope you're all doing well. And yeah, I'd like to say thank you so much for your support on my last video that got taken down by FB. Someone reported me for spamming, which doesn't make sense because I've been posting in the few places that I do post. I've been posting for years, and yeah, it just don't make sense. And I know the people in the groups, some specifically asked me to post in their groups, and there's only one other I actually asked for permission, and I was granted that. So yeah, it doesn't make sense because I'm sure those people would have reached out and said like they want to privatize their group, blah blah blah. But anyway, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is that the amount of support I got for that, I really do appreciate. So that's all I wanted to say. But also, I want to thank Gina Astro for creating the rainbow chart wheel. I did ask him actually quite a while back if he could do this. I always worked with the rainbow chart wheel before when I worked with other chart wheel systems. I've been doing this for 10 years, and initially I did work with the 12 house system. And me and my partner, Eric Seligson, who used to run the siderealist.com. Unfortunately, Eric passed in 2019, but he left me this beautiful legacy because he actually designed this chart wheel for me. And it actually is a reflection of the true lifetime sky, the 13 houses, and it's all astronomical. This chart wheel is astronomical. It will always be up to date with the changes of our sky. Our sky is always moving, and the chart will always reflect that movement. So I really do appreciate Astroapp for creating this rainbow chart wheel. It just brings a bit of color into my videos. And astroapp.com is where my chart wheel is based. And this one, under traditions and the professional section, is actually called Bergian Lovelace or Bergian Lovelace, however you want to pronounce that. So we have a new moon on the 12th of December here in the West, and we also have the 1212 portal. So it's a 1212 portal. The moon will be at 12, well, the moon and sun will be at 12 degrees in Ophiuchus. So it's like a 12, 12, 12, which also we can break the 12 down to like 1 and 2 equal 3. To me, every time we get a 12, 12 portal, we also get a 3, 3 portal. I feel it has a double meaning there, a double, what would they call it? I can't think of the word. It has a double, anyway, it's a double energy. It's a 3, 3, 3, and it's a 12, 12, 12. So, and also here in the UK, it's at 23:32. Now, to me, this is mirror imaging. And in the UK, I really do feel there's a lot of mirror imaging going on. But we'll get into that in a little while. But anyway, let's get into this 1212 portal first of all. I mean, 12 is ruled by Pisces, and but Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. Now, before Neptune was discovered, Jupiter used to be the ruling planet of Pisces before Neptune was discovered. So that's why I consider this to be a 3-3 portal as well. So in a metaphorical sense. So, because 3 is the number of Jupiter. So 12 on the whole, is a very healing vibration, especially emotional healing. It also represents what we're willing to sacrifice for the betterment of humanity. So Pisces does represent the nurse in my astrological system, and Ophiuchus, which this 1212 portal takes place in, and the new moon actually represents the doctor. So this portal is all about sacrificing our passions to surrender to the healing process. And I feel that many of us have been very unfocused over the last few months. I know I've actually struggled with focus and direction. And I think many are going through that same thing. And I think it's all about healing right now because we've been bombarded with one thing after another the last few years. There's been no time for spiritual retreat. There's been no time for, you know, to even think really. It's like it's just go, 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 and pressure, pressure, pressure. And, I think people are, I've been saying it for a long time, people are exhausted, and we reach these peaks where the exhaustion is just too much, and we need to retreat and take the time out to recharge our batteries. But, so this new moon with the sun and moon in Ophiuchus, I mean, the moon in Ophiuchus does bring out the more feminine side of this star sign, whilst the sun is the masculine. So the sun to me represents, like in Egyptian mythology, Osiris and Isis. So the moon to me represents, the moon in Ophiuchus represents the Isis Lilith energy, or the Isis Nephis energy, and the sun is like the Osiris energy. So, it's all about bringing into balance the masculine and feminine energies, not just within ourselves, but in our environment. And this new moon is also about balancing them and working with herbal remedies, sound therapies, since Ophiuchus holds the sound wave, or any ritual that lifts our spirits out of the mundane, because Ophiuchus definitely, doesn't exist in the mundane. It does exist in the simplicity, but it's the magic, the magical kind of energy of simplicity. So, where we can lose ourselves into the dream world and do our manifestations, but for the future, since this actual Mercury retrograde that we'll be entering into on the 13th will make it difficult for us to manifest in the now moment. So I would say that planting seeds for our long range goals is the way to go. So let me get to it, because I didn't say the times in the different zones. So, the new moon actually begins on the 12th of the 12th at 23:32 in the GMT time zone, at 18:32 in the EDT time zone, and the new moon will begin on the 13th of December at 10:32 in the AEDT time zone. Also, we have Mars really in conjunction with the sun and moon. It's very close. So with Mars in conjunction to the sun and moon, it's giving us the energy boost that we need to put our healing techniques into action. Because over the last few months, even though I've been recommending healing, it's been very hard to sit still and get focused, or, we've just had to let our minds wander and take us wherever it wants to go, because there's been such a lack of energy. And, but the only thing with Mars in Ophiuchus is that we must be aware or beware of any manipulating forces around us, and not be distracted from our own path or our own way of doing things, especially since the sun and moon are both in quincunx to Uranus, who's retrograding at 20 degrees in Aries. So this energy can be, very, very distracting, especially at 5 degrees, because 5 can be a little bit of a disruptive, and is shifting, It's an energy that shifts, but it's also productive. So it can be disruptive, distracting, but it does give us the capacity to stand strong in our own uniqueness when it comes to following our own rituals. So we mustn't be sidelined from what resonates with us on a soul level, because Ophiuchus is all about the soul and the balancing of the masculine and feminine, the light and the dark, it's that narrow path that, I was talking about in one of my videos a few months ago. Like, I said, I don't call myself a light worker. I call myself a shadow walker, because it's the path of the shadow that keeps us balanced. The shadow is between the light and the dark. So it is the path of balance. So 20, Uranus being at 20 degrees. Now 20 is a number of the moon, so it's giving energy to the moon. So, the number 20 is supposed to be a fortunate number to those of us that are willing to put in the effort and holding on to the faith in ourselves, or within our rituals, our own rituals or our own belief systems. It's also a number of awakening. So this is where the distraction or disruption may lie, because again, I feel this is another awakening peak that is occurring right now. But this is needed for further spiritual growth for humanity. So we also have a T-square with Neptune, the goddess Juno, against the sun and moon. So it's a cutting energy against the sun and moon. So basically, with Neptune in opposition to the goddess Juno, it's all about our commitments. And with it being in opposition to Neptune, it's our spiritual commitments or our faith or belief systems, which may come under scrutiny or review with this aspect. We may come to a realization that we have over idealized something, whether that's a relationship or our relationship with religion or our relationship with an intimate partner. It's all about our spirituality, and everything we thought we knew is actually coming under review. In some cases, it can be regarding like the man-made religions or, good. But at the end of the day, the grassroots or foundation of any doctrine does come from the heart, but tends to become corrupted in its growth. Do you know what I mean? So that's not to, put down religion in a sense, because there's many beautiful people out there that take the good and follow the good and follow it with unconditional love in their hearts and, non-judgmental. But I find a lot of doctrines hold a lot of judgment, and I've seen it with my own eyes, and that's why I kind of left all that behind years ago. But I've met some beauty, like in any cult, because they are all cults to me, in my opinion. It's like, in anywhere, in any kind of group, really, you're always going to get those that, you know, stand by or live by that practice of unconditional love and a not judgmental attitude, although they may have their opinions. But there are those that are judgmental, aren't in there, they're not even in their self-love. Do you know what I mean? So we are fully aware of that at the moment. And this spiritual awakening or this spiritual growth is bringing a lot of people to that realization as well. We've all been there, we've all been judgmental at some point in our lives. Do you know what I mean? We have to overcome that and recognize that we are all connected. And if we don't agree with somebody's way of life, then we don't really need to be around that person. They have their own lessons to learn, they have their own path to follow. And we need to accept that. So, you know, that's the Neptune opposition Juno. That's my little spill on that. But anyway, they're both in square to the moon and the sun. So this can bring in a lot of confusion with this opposition. And, you know, it can be that we lack a grip on reality, that we've set our minds and hearts on something and believe something to be true. And we will do everything we can to protect that. And, you know, sometimes our intuition is telling us, you know, one thing, but we don't want to give up on what we desire, especially if we're comfortable in that situation. We don't want to rock the boat. So we'd rather live with the false hope or the fake hope, whatever you want to call it. So that's quite a big T-square going on right now, especially on this 1212 portal. It really is all about making choices, making the right choice, you know, not making choices from ego, but making choices from the betterment of not just ourselves, but of mankind, the whole. And, you know, even though the planet is important and the animal kingdom's important, this is really all about humanitarian values, you know, and the future of mankind, the future of our children and our children's children. We also have this beautiful grand trine, though, which is Water and Eva with the Black Moon Lilith in the sign of Cancer. And she's entwined to both the North Node in Pisces and Chiron in Pisces. And they are both entwined to the Sun and Moon as well. So we do have this beautiful trine, which really is giving us an opportunity to face our ego, you know, to face our wounds, to see that our destiny might be different from what we thought it was. You know, so to me, it's an easy flow here where we can actually face our demons, face our egoistical tendencies. Are they getting in the way of the truth of ourselves and of the world? You know, these are questions we need to ask ourselves throughout this portal. We need to ask, like the energy of good, the creator of all, the divine, to guide us to the truth. And, you know, I really do feel this is a time for that. So working again, like I said, with herbal remedies. I think meditation will come to us naturally. I think we'll just be in that kind of dream world space naturally. But we need to be productive with that energy as well. Not go off into la la land and try and manifest things that are really unrealistic, but go into, you know, this beautiful magical kingdom and just enjoy the time there and see if we can bring some of that magic back into our personal lives or onto the earth. And if we are kind of manifesting for the good of all, then I think we're definitely doing the right thing. Because whatever benefits the collective will benefit us personally as well. So we also have Uranus, though, in opposition to Venus and the goddess Pallas, who are both at 1 degree in Libra. Now, this opposition makes us kind of unstable emotionally, and it also stimulates the desire for like exotic experiences. So again, this is where we can go off into la la land, and you know, we can like put ourselves in that place of false hope, especially when it comes to intimate relationships or our financial systems. Do you know what I mean? having faith in certain things. So I would say just be very, very careful of your of we need to be very, very careful of our expectations through this time, because they're not based on really reality, but it can also represent a bit of financial abuse as well. And that can be on a collective level or it can be on a personal level. Um, and also with Uranus in opposition to the goddess Pallas, that can create obstacles to feeling fulfilled or obstacles to truly getting into our self-confidence. We can be a little bit self-sabotaging with that aspect. Our ideals may be a little bit too far-fetched or a little bit too far ahead of what is possible in this present moment. And like I said, throughout this Mercury retrograde, it's going to be very difficult for us to manifest in the now moment. And I have done an article actually on the Mercury retrograde, which I will post the link to that below. So we also have the winter solstice here in the Northern Hemisphere. I know it's the summer solstice, or in the Southern Hemisphere. So let's go to the solstice chart, and this will be on a global level. So the solstice will take place on the 22nd of the 12th, 2023. Now, if you're in the USA, it's probably going to occur on the 21st, but in the Far East, it will be the 22nd. Okay. And the sun will be at 3 degrees in Sagittarius. So again, 3, the number of Jupiter. And Sagittarius, Jupiter is Sagittarius's ruling planet. And Mercury would have gone into retrograde. I mean, Mercury goes into retrograde on the 13th, the day after the new moon and the 12/12 portal. Mars will still be in the sign of Ophiuchus, but Mars will be at the position where the sun and moon was at the new moon 12/12 portal in Ophiuchus. So Mars is still energizing us, giving us the energy to put action into whatever practices or belief systems that we're affiliated with. And if we look at Jupiter, actually, where Jupiter is placed, Jupiter is at 6 degrees in Aries, conjunct the moon, who will be at 1 degree in Aries. So again, this is giving energy to us emotionally. And, it is a double fire energy with the sun and moon. And Jupiter actually being in Aries is also like a treble fire energy. So it's all fire, 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 passion, emotional eruptions. Remember Jupiter expands and Aries is impulsive. So I really do feel, on the solstice, which is going to be in the Northern Hemisphere, the shortest day of the year, in the Southern Hemisphere, the longest day of the year. But the good news for us in the Northern Hemisphere is from here onwards, our days or the light of the day will, become more and more longer. So the daylight hours will become longer. And I'm so looking forward to that. It's been very dark winter actually so far, and we're not even halfway. I think we're only just starting winter, really true winter. So so the sun also is in a very tight conjunction with Mercury retrograde. So there's a lot of reflection going on, but it could also be a little bit of a mind overload. The thing is, I know Mercury is close to the sun anyway, but if he's within 4 degrees of the sun, it can tend to make us overthink. You know what I mean? Or it's just a little bit mind-blowing. And I think in the sign of Sagittarius, it's probably our minds are expanding too quickly, but also it's about the past or about who we are. It could be like an identity crisis going on because Mercury retrograding in Sagittarius is all about the lost soul. It is all about needing direction in finding ourselves. And I think this really does apply to people that are just kind of coming through or going through the dark night of the soul, people that are just kind of waking up to their faith, their spirituality, or the reality of their life and situations. So, you know, it can be a little bit of a mind-blowing time, this solstice, and maybe things are going to emerge because, you know, the one thing they say about the sign of Sagittarius is they can blurt things out willy-nilly, put their foot in their mouth, so to speak. So things may be blurted out at this time as well, you know, so we need to just watch out for that. And with Jupiter in conjunction to the moon in Aries, I mean, this can be a little bit of a self-indulgent energy. It can also be, you know, a lot of ego in our spiritual beliefs. So, you know, I feel we're seeing that going on in the world. But with Jupiter retrograde, you know, it is also all about reflection on those subjects. So obviously, you know, there's still this like egotism going on. And, you know, to me, if we're in that place, then really we're not serving the highest and the best. You know, we are really serving the low vibration. And that's not what we really want to manifest for our future, you know? So I think it is time for people to be in a place of acceptance and to go against the negativity. But anyway, I just would like to see the world at peace. I would like to see everyone in their spiritual power. And yeah, everyone united, you know, united. We're all brothers and sisters here on this earth, no matter what our belief structure is, no matter what we feel our life purpose is. You know, we are all brothers and sisters. So the sun will also be in sextile to Saturn, who will be at 4 degrees in Aquarius. So I think he'll be a little bit stable here. He's out of retrograde now. He came out of retrograde last month. And he fares better when he's in Aquarius. It gives him a little bit more. I mean, he puts restriction onto the Aquarian energy, but sometimes the Aquarian energy needs that. I mean, Saturn represents Anu in the Sumerian mythology, and Aquarius represents the high priestess of Tiamat, and they actually came together and produced Ophiuchus, you know. So they were mixed, both different beings from different planets, and produced Ophiuchus, who was a combination of those two beings. So this is like a soulmate connection right here. And you know, with the sun in sextile, and the sun in Sagittarius, I mean, Sagittarius is really the grandson of both these people that I just spoke about, Nama and Anu in Sumerian mythology. So, you know, Sagittarius to me represents like the Egyptian Horus, and I can't remember the Sumerian name. Marduk, maybe, I think it is. Yeah, I need to refresh my mind because I've gone more into the Egyptian because there's a lot more information in the Egyptian mythology than there is in the Sumerian. But anyway, I mean, this sextile brings clarity, precision to our thoughts, and, you know, a lot of discipline within us where we can be more practical. So although there'll be some in their ego, there will be those that are really coming into their spiritual power. And I've, you know, Mars in the food, because even though it can be a very manipulative energy, it can also be a very direct energy. So I really do feel that Mars is giving us the energy to whatever insights or clarity that took place at the time of the new moon. You know, especially with this sextile going on with the Sun and Saturn, it really is showing that clarity is coming in. But, you know, like I said, Mars in Ophiuchus can be very commanding and dominating. So it's important that we maintain our sense of spiritual oneness to direct this energy wisely and not in a manipulating way, especially since Mars will also be in opposition to the goddess Vesta, who's in Taurus at 35 degrees. You know, this is where our inner flame and spiritual passion needs to be an outlet. So it's important that we direct this energy with wisdom and not from our ego. And then we also have the Black Moon Lilith in 6 degrees in Leo in opposition to Saturn. So this is the only negative, you know. So it just feels like everything is breaking down. But, you know, sometimes things need to be broken down so they can be rebuilt on more solid ground, on a stronger foundation. But again, you know, we need to build this new foundation in the right way for the benefit of the whole and not the few. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, kindred. Sending you, as always, peace and much love. Take care.